On behalf of Europe of Freedom and Democracy, Mr. Nigel Farage.
President, Mr Barroso, why the unseemly haste? Why change the rules of the game? Why do we have to have you now re-elected for 5 years as Commission President? Well, of course, the answer is Ireland and the Lisbon Treaty. The plan is to show everybody that the ship's steady, that everything's going well, that all the Irish have to do is to correct their rather silly little mistake. And indeed, your working document is written as if the treaty were already ratified. But there's a rather important point being missed here. You've been the boss, you've been the governor for the last 5 years. You've been in charge of overseeing that the constitutional treaty was pushed through. But of course things went wrong, didn't they? The French said no, and the Dutch said no. But you, of course, refused to accept these democratic results, and you took part with many members of this Parliament in the absolute deceit that is the Lisbon Treaty. You told us that the flag and the anthem would be dropped, but I've not seen much evidence of that. No, you rebranded it as the Lisbon Treaty, but you couldn't stop the Irish from voting, and the Irish, of course, said no. But once again, you couldn't accept a democratic result. Oh no, the Irish have to vote again. Where, in all of this, given that you're in charge, is the principle of democratic accountability? Well, you might argue that there isn't much democracy left in the European Union now, but there should at least be some degree of accountability. And I would argue that on the eve of what may well be a fourth rejection of this treaty, the one that kills it off for good, that this Parliament should not install you as Commission President for the next 5 years until we have that result. If the Irish people say no for a second time, then we simply have to respect what they say, and you have to go as President of the Commission. It would happen in any other walk of life, it would happen in any business, and I suggest that in European politics it really ought to happen. And what about your record? You know, you've overseen the Lisbon agenda. It was sunk without trace way before the credit crunch hit us. Now you're telling us we have to have a commissioner for immigration, taking away from nation states their most basic right to decide who comes to live, work and settle in their countries. You've pushed on with your obsession with climate change, which has led to massive cost and no material benefits whatsoever. But above all, it's when you ignored that Irish referendum, it's when you said the Irish cannot stop this treaty. For that reason alone, I simply cannot support you. But it's possible that I've got this horribly wrong. It's possible that you are the right man, because yesterday in the Daily Telegraph a poll said, if Lisbon goes through without a referendum, would you want Britain to stay part of the European Union? And by 43% to 26%, for the first time in over 30 years, a massive majority of Britons will want us to leave this European Union if Mr Barroso gets his way. So maybe I've got it wrong, maybe you're the right man, we will see. Yes, we'll be very happy to go. This document has no legal force whatsoever. It is not worth the paper that it's written on. You are the author of a disgraceful attempt to con the Irish into voting for this Lisbon Treaty in their forthcoming referendum. Of course, you've been supported by Mr Barroso on that. He doesn't ever respect the result of democratic referendums, whether they're in France, the Netherlands or Ireland. He says we must ignore them, we must continue. It's all about power. It's all about him and the EU institutions getting more power at the expense of the member states. I hope the Irish tell you all where to go in the second referendum on October the 2nd, and they just might.
Is it allowed to have the flags in our... Because if it is allowed, I just want to put also the European flag here today, if I may say.